They said every young lady dreamed of a night like this, where the chandeliers shimmered like stars, and a single dance could change her destiny. In the heart of London, where elegance ruled and whispers carried more weight than words, Lady Rose was about to take her first step into a world that glittered with promise. In danger, the soft glow of dawn spreads across London like a silk ribbon being untied. Carriages roll through cobbled streets, their wheels humming with quiet excitement. Behind grand windows, maids hurry with gowns of ivory and silver, pressing, pinning, and perfecting every detail for their mistresses. The air feels alive, filled with the perfume of roses and the rustle of letters sealed in red wax. Each envelope carries an invitation, not just to a ball, but to the stage where lives could be rewritten in a single evening. The London season has begun. It is a time when daughters of noble families are presented to the world young women of grace, beauty, and breeding. For many, it is their chance to secure love, or at least a good marriage. But for Lady Rose MacClare, niece to the Crawleys of Downton Abbey, it means much more. For her, it is a promise of freedom, a taste of life beyond the quiet halls of the countryside. The streets near Hyde Park glimmer with anticipation. Footmen polish brass lamps. Florists deliver bouquets of lilac and lily to grand townhouses. The air smells of polished wood, lavender, and expectation. Somewhere behind a lace curtain, Lady Rose peers out, watching London awaken. Her heart beats quickly, not from fear, but from wonder. The city feels alive, mysterious, full of stories waiting to be told. Inside the Crawley townhouse, the sound of footsteps and distant laughter fills the morning. The Countess of Grantham's voice echoes through the corridors, calm yet commanding, as she reminds everyone that tonight's presentation at Buckingham Palace must be perfect. Every ribbon, every glove, every gesture, flawless. Because in London society, appearances are everything. Downstairs, the servants whisper in excitement. They've heard the rumors that the prince himself will be at the ball tonight. Some say he's charming, others say he's distant, a man of duty rather than desire. But for Rose, such tales only add to the thrill. She dreams of dancing, of feeling the music lift, or beyond all the eyes and expectations that have followed her since birth, as the morning light floods her room. Lady Rose touches the edge of her dress laid out before her. It shimmers faintly in the sunlight, soft cream silk, threaded with silver. Her reflection in the mirror seems older, almost unfamiliar. Tonight, she will step into another world. A world of elegance, secrets, and stories whispered behind fans. The London season has opened its doors, and Lady Rose is ready to walk through them. The afternoon sun slants through tall windows, turning the dust in the air into tiny flecks of gold. London hums softly outside, the clip-clop of horses, the chatter of vendors, the distant call of a newspaper boy. But inside Lady Rose's room, time feels slower, quieter, as if the world itself is holding its breath for her. Her gown hangs near the window, waiting like a promise. Layers of silk and lace, stitched with care and expectation. The maid moves carefully around her, humming a tune from downstairs as she lays out gloves, hairpins, and a delicate fan carved from mother-of pearl. Rose watches, her hands folded in her lap, pretending to be calm. But inside her chest, her heart beats faster than the ticking clock on the mantelpiece. She is only 19, bright, curious, and a little too daring for her world. The Dowager Countess once said she was born to cause a scandal. Maybe she was right. Rose doesn't dream of titles or fortune. She dreams of adventure, of music and laughter that lasts long after the last dance. She stands, moves to the mirror, and studies her reflection. Her eyes are wide, filled with a kind of nervous joy that words can't quite capture. The mirror doesn't show her doubts, it shows her possibilities. Tonight, she whispers softly to herself, "London will finally see me." Down the hall, she can hear her aunt's voice, calm but sharp as crystal, giving final instructions to the staff. Somewhere below, a footman polishes the Crawley family crest on the carriage door. The whole house is alive with quiet purpose. Every sound reminding her that this is no ordinary evening. The London season is more than a parade of pretty dresses and polite conversations. It is a silent battlefield of charm and reputation. Every smile is measured, every compliment rehearsed. The wrong word can close a door forever. The right glance can open a future. And Lady Rose knows, even if she won't admit it aloud, that tonight might change everything. She moves closer to the window. The streets glow with the fading light of day, and the lamps begin to flicker to life, one by one. It feels like the city is waking up just for her. The bells of St. Paul's toll in the distance, deep and slow. As if marking the countdown to her debut, her maid fastens a pearl at her throat. And for a moment, Rose feels her breath catch. She remembers her mother's words before leaving Downton, "Be seen, my darling, but never revealed." It was meant as advice, but Rose never quite knew how to follow it. She doesn't want to hide behind grace. She wants to live through it. The carriage will come soon. The ballroom will gleam, the music will rise, and 1,000 eyes will turn toward her. But for now, just for this brief moment, Lady Rose stands still in the soft golden light. A girl caught between childhood and legend, her lips curl into the smallest smile. Tonight, she will not just be another name whispered in drawing rooms. Tonight, she will dance with destiny. The doors of Buckingham Palace open like a dream made real. Light pours out from the ballroom, soft golden, endless, spilling over the polished marble floors and catching the glimmer of diamonds and glass. The sound of violins fills the air, smooth and haunting, as if the music itself were breathing life into the night. Inside, the world looks like a painting. Hundreds of candles glow from chandeliers that hang like frozen stars. Women in silk gowns drift past like petals carried by the wind, their laughter soft and restrained. Men in crisp uniforms and black coats stand tall, their medals flashing as they speak in low voices. Every face shines with a perfect mask of confidence, hiding the small tremors of pride, envy, or desire underneath. Lady Rose stands at the edge of the ballroom, her breath caught in her throat. The air feels heavy with perfume and expectation. Her hand trembles slightly as she holds her fan, but her eyes bright, curious, and alive reveal her secret excitement. This is the heart of the season. The place where reputations are built, where alliances are made with a bow or a glance. Every step, every smile, every whisper matters. Somewhere among these glittering strangers, destinies are being written, and Rose is about to write hers. A murmur moves through the crowd. The orchestra slows for just a second, and all eyes turn toward the grand staircase. A ripple of voices whispers one name, the prince. He descends slowly, tall and calm, his uniform dark against the warm light. There's something measured in his movements, grace with purpose, confidence without arrogance. As he steps onto the ballroom floor, people shift slightly, giving him space, but never turning away. Rose feels her heartbeat change. It's not love, not yet. More like the spark of recognition between two stories waiting to meet. She doesn't even realize she's staring until her aunt's quiet voice beside her reminds her to lower her eyes. But even as she does, she can feel it, the weight of that moment. The beginning of something she cannot yet name. The music rises again, a waltz sweet and slow. The dancers move in circles like waves around the shore. Rose watches them, imagining herself among them, her gown brushing against the floor, her laughter mixing with the violins. For a moment, she forgets where she is, the rules, the expectations, the watching eyes. She simply feels the pull of the music, the rhythm that calls her forward. A hand touches her arm, gentle, polite, but commanding. She turns, startled. Before her stands the prince, his expression unreadable, his voice smooth as silk. "Would you grant me this dance, Lady Rose?" The room seems to fade. The whispers vanish. All that remains is the sound of her own heartbeat and the music waiting to begin again. Rose curtsies, her voice barely more than a breath. "It would be my honor, Your Highness," as their hands meet. The world holds still, just for a heartbeat, before the orchestra begins again, and the dance that will be remembered for years begins. The ballroom falls quiet. Not suddenly, but like a wave retreating sound softens. Laughter fades, and every head turns toward the grand staircase. Even the orchestra hesitates, as if the music itself wishes to take a breath before beginning again. He stands there, the prince, Not the idea of him that gossip papers paint, not the name whispered over teacups, but a man of flesh and breath, shadow and light. His uniform gleams beneath the chandeliers, every metal catching the golden glow. Yet it isn't his rank that silences the room. It's his stillness, the kind of calm that makes people notice, the quiet power of someone who doesn't need to speak to be heard. Lady Rose feels the air shift. For a moment, it feels as though the entire ballroom belongs to that single figure, to his slow descent down the steps. To the measured sound of polished boots on marble, her pulse quickens, her eyes following him before she can stop herself. The prince greets the hosts first, bowing with perfect grace. His smile is polite, practiced, the kind worn by someone who's been watched his whole life. People move closer, but never too close. Respect and curiosity keep them at a distance. Rose watches as he crosses the room. He moves like someone who knows every pair of eyes is his audience. And yet, behind that calm, she sees something else. A flicker of weariness, a trace of loneliness perhaps, the kind that comes from being admired by many, but known by none. The music begins again, soft, sweeping, full of silver strings. A waltz, light and slow. The crowd begins to move once more, laughter returning like a gentle tide. But Rose doesn't hear any of it. The world narrows to one focus: him. The prince. Her aunt leans in close, whispering under her breath, "Do not stare, Rose. You'll draw attention." But Rose can't help it. For the first time that evening, she feels something that isn't performance, something real. Then the unexpected happens. Through the shifting dancers, through the golden haze of candlelight, their eyes meet. It isn't long, barely more than a moment, but it is enough. The music seems to slow. The chatter blurs into nothing. All that exists is that glance, steady, curious, almost questioning. He doesn't smile, but his gaze lingers, as though he's trying to place her face, or perhaps read the story behind her eyes. Rose lowers her fan just slightly, as if giving him permission to keep looking. Her breath catches, but she doesn't turn away. Something inside her stirs, the kind of feeling that doesn't ask for reason or permission. Then, a movement. He nods once to the orchestra conductor. The next song changes, smoother, deeper, slower. A new waltz begins, unlike the rest. A hush passes again, softer this time, as the prince walks toward her. The crowd parts with instinctive grace, like petals opening for the sun. Each step he takes seems deliberate, quiet, but certain. When he finally stops before her, she feels the world shrink to a single heartbeat. He bows slightly, his voice steady but warm. "Lady Rose," he says, his tone like velvet against the air. "Would you honor me with a dance?" For a moment, Rose forgets how to breathe. The ballroom, the people, the lights, they fade into soft blur. Only his hand remains, waiting. She hesitates, not out of fear, but wonder. And then, slowly, she places her gloved hand in his. In that instant, two worlds, royal duty and wild youth, meet in perfect stillness. And somewhere in the orchestra, the first note of the waltz rises, carrying them both into the story that will soon make the whole of London whisper. The orchestra begins. A waltz. Slow and smooth, like a secret being spoken softly into the night. The sound rises from the strings and spills through the golden air of the ballroom. Every eye turns toward the floor as the prince takes Lady Rose's hand, and together they step into the light. For a heartbeat, the world forgets to breathe. Their movements are effortless, but not rehearsed, more like instinct. His hand rests at her waist, firm yet respectful. Her gloved fingers brush his shoulder, light as a whisper. They glide across the marble floor, circling through the sea of watching faces, yet somehow alone in their own orbit. The chandeliers above shimmer as if echoing their rhythm. The floor mirrors their steps, silk brushing against polished stone. Each turn feels slower than the one before, as though time itself is bending to watch them. Rose doesn't think anymore, she feels. The soft fabric of her gown flowing like water, the faint scent of cologne and candle wax around them. the warmth of his hand steadying her as they turn. For the first time that evening, she isn't performing. She isn't the Crawley niece, the debutante, the girl others whisper about. She is simply Rose, alive, seen, and free. The prince says nothing, but his silence speaks louder than words. His eyes stay on hers, not as a ruler's gaze, but as a man's curious, kind, slightly uncertain. It is not flirtation. It is discovery. Two people born into cages made of gold, finding a moment of escape through music. Around them, the crowd watches with quiet fascination. Some smile, others whisper behind jeweled fans. The Dowager Countess tilts her head ever so slightly, perhaps amused, perhaps concerned. But Rose doesn't see any of it. All she feels is the spinning, the pull, the warmth, and the faint tremor of her own heartbeat in her throat. The waltz slows, then lifts again, swelling as if the orchestra itself were caught in their spell. Each step draws them closer, not physically, but in that silent understanding that only two souls can share in the middle of a crowd. The prince leans in just enough for his voice to find her ear. "You dance as though you've been waiting your whole life for this song," he murmurs. Rose's lips part in a quiet smile. "Perhaps I have," she answers. The corners of his mouth lift the smallest sign of something, genuine breaking through years of practiced politeness. For that fleeting moment, he isn't a prince. He's just a man who found wonder in the rhythm of a waltz. The final note arrives like a sigh. Soft, golden, complete. Their steps slow. The world seems to still again, the spell dissolving as the music fades into applause. The prince bows. Rose curtsies. Their eyes meet one last time, not in farewell, but in quiet promise. The crowd erupts in admiration, the sound swelling like ocean waves. But beneath the noise, there is something unspoken. Everyone knows they have witnessed something rare as they part. Rose feels a strange ache she can't quite name. It isn't sadness, it's something deeper. A knowing that this moment, however brief, will follow her through every season to come. The prince takes her hand once more, presses a courteous kiss to her glove, and whispers, almost to himself, "Until the next dance," and with that, he's gone, swallowed by the brilliance of the ballroom. But the echo of his presence lingers, like music that refuses to fade. The music fades, and for a heartbeat, silence lingers, the kind that hangs between applause and astonishment. Then the ballroom exhales, a soft rustle of skirts, the clink of champagne glasses, the low murmur of 100 curious voices. The waltz is over, but the story it started has just begun. Lady Rose stands at the edge of the dance floor, her cheeks touched with the faintest blush, her breath unsteady. Around her, the air feels heavier, not from the heat of the candles, but from the attention she now carries like an invisible crown. Every glance seems to find her. Every whisper sounds like her name, the prince. One woman murmurs, her fan fluttering too quickly. "With her?" Another replies, trying to hide the spark of envy behind her lace. "Charming, but careless," adds a third. Her voice sharp enough to cut through perfume and pretense. Their laughter ripples through the room, like the ringing of tiny bells, delicate. But cruel, Rose pretends not to hear. She stands poised, chin lifted slightly, her hands folded around her fan. But her eyes betray her. They dart toward the crowd, searching for one face, his. The prince, now surrounded by dignitaries and titled guests, carries the same calm composure he wore before the dance. But something has changed. His eyes, though polite, keep wandering, seeking. Perhaps the same girl who turned a formal waltz into something unforgettable. Behind him, his advisors whisper too, not gossip, but caution. Words like impression, expectation, and appearance float through the air. The royal world leaves little room for sentiment. Rose's aunt, standing nearby, leans in with a soft but firm whisper. "You've done well, my dear," she says, though her eyes betray a warning. But remember, admiration from a prince is a compliment, not a beginning.
Oh.
Rose smiles faintly, though her heart aches at the thought. She doesn't wish for crowns or titles. She wishes for that moment again, when the world disappeared and only the music spoke. A waiter passes with crystal glasses. The scent of roses and champagne fills the air. Laughter rises again, louder now, gilded with excitement and curiosity. The ballroom has turned into a stage, and Lady Rose, whether she wishes it or not, is its leading lady. Somewhere in the crowd, a young woman stares at her with a mix of wonder and jealousy. A gentleman, older and wiser, murmurs to his companion. The prince danced like a man remembering how to feel. Rose catches fragments of these words, their edges blurring in her mind. She feels the weight of them, not cruel, but heavy with meaning. For the first time, she realizes how fragile this night truly is. One dance has made her radiant, but also vulnerable. She steps away from the floor, seeking a moment of quiet near the tall windows. Outside, London glows, carriages lining the streets, gas lamps burning like tiny suns. The city feels infinite, alive, whispering of possibilities she cannot yet name. Behind her, the orchestra begins another waltz. The guests return to their games of charm and chance, but Rose stays still, one hand resting lightly against the cool glass. In the reflection, she catches a glimpse of herself, and behind her, just faintly, the prince turning to look her way. Their eyes meet again, though only through glass and distance. It's a silent exchange brief. It's uncertain but real. And as the crowd dances on, their gazes hold for a moment longer than they should. Two souls caught in the glow of chandeliers, bound not by fate yet, but by curiosity, the most dangerous beginning of all. The night drifts toward its end, soft and slow, like candle smoke curling into the dark. The last song of the evening sighs through the ballroom, a gentle echo of all that has been said and felt without words. Lady Rose stands near the balcony doors now, the cool air brushing against her cheeks, her gown whispering around her ankles. Behind her, the light of the chandeliers flickers lower. The laughter grows quieter, and the crowd thins, all the shine and sparkle melting into something tender, almost human. Across the room, the prince speaks with an older gentleman, his posture perfect, his tone steady, his duty returning like a shadow that never truly leaves. Yet, for one small moment, he glances her way again. It is not bold, not secret, simply true. Their eyes meet once more, not in longing, but in understanding. Both know what the other carries, the weight of expectation, the ache of wanting something beyond it. It is a rare kind of honesty, the kind that only happens when words would ruin it. Rose turns back to the open window. The lights of London shimmer like fallen stars across the Thames. The city hums, distant music, the clip of hooves, the echo of laughter from carriages rolling into the night. Somewhere out there, the world continues, unaware that inside this palace, two lives have brushed against each other and quietly changed. The clock strikes midnight. 1, 2, 3. Each chime echoing through the grand hall like a reminder that even beauty must end. The orchestra plays its final note, soft, complete, naking dot. The prince steps away from the crowd, his footsteps deliberate, measured. He approaches her, though he stops just short, close enough for her to hear his voice, low and calm. Every dance ends, he says quietly, but some music stays. Rose turns to him, her eyes soft. Then, I shall remember the tune, she whispers. He smiles, not the royal smile of portraits and ceremonies, but a real one, small and unguarded. Then he bows, formal again, and with one final glance, he is gone. The doors close behind him. And the great ballroom feels larger, emptier. Filled with the memory of music and the scent of fading roses, Lady Rose stays by the window, watching the last carriage lamps vanish into the mist. Her reflection stares back at her, no longer the shy debutante who arrived trembling with expectation, but a woman who has glimpsed something rare, a truth hidden beneath the layers of silk and duty. She breathes in deeply, her voice no more than a whisper meant for herself. Tonight was never about a dance, she says. It was about being seen. The camera lingers on her face as the lights dim, the violins fade, and the glow of London becomes the final frame. Then silence. A single line appears on screen. Delicate and slow. Lady Rose dances with the prince a moment from the London season. And beneath it, in soft golden script, some nights do not belong to time, they belong to memory.